All right, so you're ready to really dive into learning English.
Or maybe you're looking to level up those skills you've already got.
Either way, you sent us this episode of The Simple Pod.
All about staying motivated.
Which is so smart because motivation can be the hardest part.
It really can be.
So today we're going to extract like the pure motivational goal
From The Simple Pod.
for you so you can take all that knowledge and actually use it.
Without having to listen to the whole thing.
And they start off strong, talking about setting achievable goals.
It sounds kind of standard at first.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I know I need goals.
But The Simple Pod takes it a step further.
Okay, so what do they say?
They focus on building what they call a success spiral.
Okay, I like that already, a success spiral.
And they suggest starting ridiculously easy.
Ridiculous.
Like just learning one new word every day.
Wait, one word? Like, I mean, it's better than nothing, but just one.
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But hear them out.
Okay.
The idea is that even tiny wins like that can build confidence.
Yeah.
And that confidence will then make you want to keep going.
Oh, so you start small and then kind of ramp up from there.
Exactly.
Oh, you see the spiral part now.
Yeah, you're building momentum.
Okay, I like it.
They even suggest picturing yourself at the top of a staircase.
Okay.
And each small goal you achieve is like taking another step.
I like that visual.
Yeah, it can really help.
And you know, I think this actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Because when I think back to like when I first started learning to play guitar,
Uh-huh.
you know, I didn't start by trying to learn like entire songs or anything. It was just like, okay, I'm just going to learn like one chord today.
Totally.
And then, you know, just kept building on that.
Exactly.
And you know what? I actually did this with my Italian.
Really?
I started super basic, like with just greetings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to move up to ordering food.
Uh-huh.
And then before I knew it,
Yeah.
I was having like actual conversations.
That's amazing.
So you're saying I could be speaking Italian fluently because I mastered buongiorno.
Maybe?
Okay, so we got to set those small achievable goals.
Absolutely.
But then how do we keep track of all these like mini goals that we're setting?
Oh, yeah. The Simple Pod is big on tracking progress.
Okay, good, because if I'm setting all these mini goals,
Yeah.
I got to keep track of them somehow.
They actually had this cool analogy about building what they called a motivation mirror.
A motivation mirror? Is that like a magic item or something?
Not quite, but it's about using visuals
Okay.
to actually see how far you've come.
Okay, I like that.
So they suggest things like, you know, progress bars or habit trackers.
Okay,
Even just writing down what you've learned each day
okay.
and like sticking it on your wall.
I kind of love that. It's like creating your own success story.
Yeah, right in front of your eyes.
Okay, so we've got the motivation mirror.
Yes.
Anything else?
Oh, and don't forget about the celebration snacks,
Oh, yes. The fuel for the motivation engine.
right? The Simple Pod actually talked about the psychology behind rewarding yourself.
Oh, interesting.
It actually helps to reinforce that learning habit.
Okay, so it's like I'm actually training my brain to want to learn more.
Exactly. You're craving that feeling of, I did it.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And you know, I used to be super skeptical about those little rewards,
Really?
but I have to admit, I started using them when I was learning to code.
Yeah.
And it really did make a difference.
It's amazing how powerful it can be.
Like just a little celebratory dance after I finally figured out some, you know, code function.
It's all about making the process enjoyable.
Totally. But what about when you hit those like inevitable slumps?
Ah, yes, the dreaded motivation slump.
We all face them.
We do.
So we've got our mini goal set up, our motivation mirror is looking good, and we've got our celebration snacks ready to go.
We are all set.
But what happens when, like, you know, you hit that wall? You know, that feeling of like, I'm never going to get this.
Yeah, that motivation slump can be tough.
It's the worst.
It really is. But the Simple Pod had some good stuff for dealing with that.
Okay, good, because I need it.
They compared learning a language to running a marathon.
A marathon. Isn't that a little dramatic?
Maybe a little, but they made a good point.
Okay, I'm listening.
You wouldn't expect to run 26 miles, you know, without hitting a wall.
Okay, true.
There are going to be moments where you need to slow down. Maybe even take a break.
So you're saying it's okay to just stop learning English sometimes?
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing that learning isn't always linear.
Okay.
There will be plateaus, setbacks.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Okay, so that makes me feel better already.
Good.
It's not just me.
No, not at all.
Okay, so instead of beating myself up for not progressing fast enough,
Right.
I should just accept that those bumps are going to happen.
Exactly. And the Simple Pod actually had this tip for dealing with that.
Okay.
They called it flipping the script.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
So let's say you're working on English grammar. And you're feeling super frustrated.
Yeah, I've been there.
Instead of thinking like, I'm terrible at grammar.
Which is what I usually think.
Right. Try reframing it as grammar is a challenge that I'm working on.
Okay.
And I'm getting better every day.
So it's like focusing on the positive.
Exactly.
And acknowledging that like it takes time.
It really does.
Okay, I can do that.
Good. And they even suggest keeping a victory log.
Ooh, a victory log. I like it.
Where you write down all the things you've accomplished.
Okay.
No matter how small.
So like what kind of things?
It could be anything from learning a new verb tense to having like a short conversation with a native speaker.
I like that because it's so easy to get caught up in what we haven't done yet.
Right.
And forget about all the stuff we already have accomplished.
Totally. And the Simple Pod also talked about having a support system.
Okay.
They reminded us that we don't have to do this alone.
Oh, that's so important.
It really is having someone to cheer you on.
Yeah.
Offer advice can make such a difference.
So true.
And they had some ideas for finding that support.
Okay. What did they say?
Like joining online language learning communities.
Oh, yeah. There are so many of those.
Right. Or finding a language exchange partner.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Or even just connecting with other English learners in your area.
I love that. And you know what that reminds me of? When I was learning Spanish, I joined this amazing online group.
Really?
And it was like a game changer.
That's awesome.
We would share resources, practice conversations, and like motivate each other.
It's like having a virtual study buddy.
Exactly. So we've got our in-person support, our virtual support.
Right. But what about finding inspiration outside of our immediate circle?
Okay, yeah. The Simple Pod mentioned something about finding motivation role models.
They did.
What exactly does that mean?
They suggested looking for people who've already achieved that level of fluency that you're going for.
So like someone I know personally?
Could be.
Or like a celebrity who learned English?
Yeah. Or even like a fictional character.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
Right.
So it's about finding people who inspire you.
Yeah. To keep going even when it gets tough.
Okay, that makes sense. And they talked about visualizing.
They did?
Like imagining yourself speaking English confidently.
Yeah, like your role model.
You know what? I actually do something similar.
Really?
Whenever I'm feeling discouraged, I watch interviews with like actors or musicians who learned English fluently.
Yeah.
And it just gives me such a boost.
I love that.
Because seeing them succeed makes me feel like, okay, it's possible for me too.
And that's a key takeaway from the Simple Pod.
Okay, what is it?
Believing in yourself. They emphasize that learning a language is a journey.
Yeah.
It's going to have its ups and downs.
For sure.
But if you stay committed and you keep those long-term goals in mind, you can do it.
It's all about trusting the process.
It is.
And remembering that every little step gets you closer to your goal.
Exactly. So before we wrap up this part, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay, hit me.
Who are your motivation role models when it comes to learning English?
Oh, good question.
Think about people who inspire you.
Yeah.
Whose success you want to emulate.
And so we've talked about setting those mini goals and tracking our progress and, you know, celebrating those wins.
And finding our cheer squad.
Yeah.
And getting inspired by other people who've learned English.
Exactly. But the Simple Pod left us with one final piece of the puzzle.
They did. It's a big one.
I mean, lay on me.
It's what they called embracing the long game.
Okay.
They pointed out that learning a language is not about like instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
Okay.
And like any good journey, it takes time to reach your destination.
So it's more like a cross-country road trip than like a quick flight?
Right. They actually suggested mapping out your language learning journey.
Oh?
Like you would a road trip.
I like that.
Think about your starting point, your destination, and all the exciting stops along the way.
Okay, so I'm picturing a map right now.
Yeah.
With like landmarks, like mastering the past tense, or like conquering small talk.
Love it.
And just like on a real road trip, there are going to be detours.
Oh, yeah.
Unexpected challenges. You know, like maybe I hit a grammar roadblock, or I get stuck in like a pronunciation traffic jam.
It happens.
But the key is to keep my eyes on the prize.
Exactly.
Adjust the route if I need to.
Yes.
And never give up on reaching that final destination.
Got it.
So it's about having that long-term vision.
Yeah.
But also like enjoying the ride along the way.
Absolutely. And the Simple Pod had some tips for making that journey more enjoyable.
Oh, good. Because road trips can be long.
They can.
What do they say?
They talked about finding ways to like integrate English into your daily life.
Okay.
Even outside of formal study time.
This reminds me of when they talked about finding inspiration, like watching movies or listening to music.
Yeah.
Even reading books in English.
It's all connected. So it's about making English like a part of my world.
Exactly.
Not just something I study.
And they said this approach has a bonus benefit.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It helps you internalize the language more naturally.
Oh, interesting.
When you're immersed in English, you start to absorb the rhythms, the nuances,
Okay.
the way native speakers actually use the language.
It's like learning to swim by jumping in the pool instead of just reading the manual.
That's a great way to put it.
You know what? I actually did something similar when I was learning French.
Really?
I started watching French films with subtitles.
Oh.
And then gradually I would wean myself off of the subtitles.
Wow.
And before I knew it, I was understanding the dialogue
That's amazing.
without even needing the visual cues.
So cool.
So we've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have.
What are the key takeaways you think our listeners should remember?
Well, first and foremost, the Simple Pod emphasized that motivation is a skill,
Okay.
not some magical talent.
So I can actually learn how to be more motivated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's something you can cultivate and strengthen with the right tools and strategies.
And those tools include, setting those achievable goals.
Yes.
Tracking our progress, celebrating our wins, finding inspiration, building a support system.
All connected.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Oh, yeah.
Find what works best for you.
Absolutely.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to motivation.
That's true.
But maybe the most important takeaway from the Simple Pod is that we have to believe in ourselves and believe in our ability to achieve those language learning goals.
I love that.
It's a journey.
It is.
But it's a rewarding one.
It really is.
And with the right mindset and, a good dose of motivation, we can reach our destination.
We can.
We hope this deep dive has given you the insights
And the encouragement.
you need to keep moving forward on your English learning adventure.
Keep exploring.
Keep practicing.
And most importantly,
Keep having fun.
until next time.
Happy learning.